Good evening, my friends. Tonight I'm going to tell you something that will fundamentally shatter everything you thought you knew about reality. Nothing you see is real, not in the way you think it is. The world around you, the solid ground beneath your feet, the walls of this room, the body you're sitting in, the circumstances you're experiencing, none of it is solid, none of it is fixed, none of it is real in the way you've been taught to believe. It's a hologram, a projection, an image cast from consciousness onto the screen of your awareness. And you are not in the hologram. You are the projector. Now I know how this sounds. I know your rational mind is already objecting. But wait. I can touch the walls. I can feel my body. I can see the world with my own eyes. How can you say it's not real? And that's exactly what I want to address tonight. Because understanding this, truly grasping what I'm about to share, will free you from every limitation you've ever accepted as truth. When you understand that reality is a hologram projected from consciousness, you'll finally realize why changing your inner world changes your outer world. Why assumptions become facts. Why imagination creates reality. Because the outer world doesn't exist independently of you. It's not solid. It's not fixed. It's not happening to you. It's happening from you. And tonight you're going to understand exactly what that means and why it changes everything. Let me start by explaining what I mean when I say reality is a hologram. A hologram is a three-dimensional image projected from a two-dimensional source. It appears solid, real, tangible, but it's not. It's light arranged in patterns that create the illusion of form. You can't grab it. You can't hold it. You can only observe it. And the moment the projection stops, the image disappears. Completely. Because it was never really there in the first place. This is exactly how your reality works. The three-dimensional world you experience, the circumstances, the people, the events, the physical manifestations, these are all projections. Images, patterns of energy organized by consciousness into forms that appear solid. But they're not solid. They're not independent. They're not separate from you. They're consciousness made visible. Your consciousness, arranged into the patterns that match your dominant assumptions, beliefs, and states. And just like a hologram changes instantly when you change the pattern being projected, your reality changes when you change your consciousness. Not eventually. Not after hard work. Not after you've proven yourself worthy. Instantly. Automatically. Inevitably. Because the hologram must reflect the projector. It has no choice. It's not real in itself. It's only a reflection of what's real, consciousness. Now, let me make this even clearer with an analogy. Imagine you're sitting in a movie theater. On the screen in front of you, you see images, a story unfolding, characters moving, events happening. And these images appear so real, so vivid, that you forget, for a moment, that they're just light projected onto a flat surface. You get absorbed in the story. You react to what's happening. You feel emotions based on what you're watching. But here's the question, are the images on the screen real? No. They're projections. Reflections of a film running through a projector behind you. And if you don't like what you're seeing on the screen, if the movie isn't to your liking, what do? Do you run up to the screen and try to rearrange the images? Do you push the characters around? Do you attempt to change the events by manipulating the projection itself? Of course not. That would be absurd, because the screen is just showing you what's being projected. It's not the source, it's the effect. If you want to change what you're seeing on the screen, you must change the film in the projector. You must go to the source, the cause, the place where the images are actually being created. This is exactly how reality works. The three-dimensional world you're experiencing is the screen. Your consciousness is the projector. Your assumptions, beliefs, and dominant states are the film. And if you don't like what you're seeing in your reality, if your circumstances aren't to your liking, you can't change them by manipulating the screen. You can't rearrange the hologram by pushing against it. You can't fix the projection by trying to alter what's already been projected. You must go to the source. You must change the film. You must change your consciousness. And the moment you do, the instant you change what's being projected, the screen must change to match. Not because you forced it, not because you worked at it, but because that's the nature of projection. The hologram always automatically perfectly reflects the projector. Now let me show you what most people spend their entire lives doing, and why it never works. They look at their reality and they see things they don't like. Lack, limitation, problems, circumstances that feel wrong. And what do? They try to change the screen. They work harder at their job, hoping to change their financial reality. They manipulate situations, trying to force better outcomes. They attempt to control people, circumstances, events. They're running up to the screen, trying to rearrange the images. And it's exhausting, because the screen isn't the source. The projection isn't the cause. No matter how hard you push against the hologram, it will keep reflecting whatever is being projected from consciousness. You might create temporary changes through sheer force of effort. You might move a few things around on the screen. But the moment you stop pushing, the images return to match the projection. Because you never changed what was being projected, you only temporarily disrupted what was being displayed. This is why external action alone never creates lasting change. This is why willpower eventually fails. This is why you can't force manifestation, because you're trying to change the effect instead of the cause. You're manipulating the hologram instead of changing the consciousness that's projecting it. Let me tell you something that will sound impossible to your rational mind, but is absolutely true. Nothing in your external reality is solid. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is happening independently of your consciousness. The job you have, it's not a solid, unchangeable fact. It's a projection of your assumptions about work, money, and what's possible for you. The relationship you're in, it's not fixed in stone. It's a reflection of your assumptions about love, worthiness, and connection. Your bank account, it's not a hard reality that you must accept. It's a mirror showing you your consciousness of abundance or lack. Your body, even this isn't as solid as you think. It's constantly responding to, reorganizing around, reflecting your dominant assumptions about health, age, and vitality. Do you see what I'm telling you? Nothing is real in the way you've been taught to believe. Everything you're experiencing is malleable, fluid, responsive to consciousness. Because it's not solid matter existing independently. It's consciousness arranged into temporary patterns that appear solid. And the moment your consciousness shifts, the moment you change what you're projecting, those patterns must reorganize. The hologram must change because the projector changed. Now, when you truly grasp this, when it clicks so deeply that you can't unknow it, something profound happens. You stop being intimidated by circumstances. You stop being controlled by what you see. You stop accepting current reality as the final word on what's possible. Because you understand this is just a hologram. And I am the projector, the debt you're experiencing. It's not a solid fact you must accept. It's a hologram projected from consciousness of lack. Change the consciousness, and the hologram must change. The debt you're experiencing, it's not a solid fact you must accept. It's a hologram projected from consciousness of lack. Change the consciousness, and the hologram must change. The loneliness you're feeling, it's not a permanent condition. It's a reflection of assumptions about connection and love. Shift the assumption, and the reflection shifts. The limitation you're facing, it's not an immovable obstacle. It's a pattern in the hologram matching your consciousness of limitation. Change what you're projecting, and the pattern dissolves. This is the freedom I'm offering you tonight. Freedom from the tyranny of facts. Freedom from the dictatorship of circumstances. Freedom from the prison of current reality. Because once you understand that nothing outside you is solid, that it's all a hologram responding to consciousness, you realize you have power you never knew you had. The power to change everything by changing one thing, what you're projecting from consciousness. Let me give you a specific example. A man came to me who was drowning in debt. Everywhere he looked, he saw evidence of lack. Bills piling up, collection calls, financial pressure mounting. And what was he doing? He was trying to change the screen, working extra hours, cutting expenses, desperately trying to earn his way out. But the debt kept growing because he was projecting poverty consciousness, and the hologram reality was perfectly reflecting that projection. I told him, stop trying to change what you're seeing, change what you're projecting. How? He asked. Assume you're debt-free. Not hope you'll be debt-free, not work toward being debt-free. Assume you already are debt-free. Feel it, think from it, occupy that state. But how if I'm not debt-free? I can see the bills. The debt is real. No, I said. The debt is a hologram, a projection, an image on the screen reflecting your consciousness of lack. And the moment you change what you're projecting, the moment you truly assume wealth instead of poverty, the hologram must change to match. He didn't believe me. Not fully. But he was desperate enough to try. So he did something radical. He stopped acknowledging the debt as real, not by denying it existed on the screen. He could see it was there, but by refusing to accept it as the truth of his consciousness. Instead, he truly assumed that he was financially free. He felt it. He thought from it. He moved through his day as someone who had no financial worries. He changed what he was projecting, and within 3 months the hologram shifted. Unexpected money, opportunities he couldn't have predicted, circumstances arranging themselves in ways that dissolved the debt, not because he worked harder, not because he earned it, but because he changed what was being projected, and the hologram automatically reorganized to match. Here's what you must understand. Your reality is not random. It's not happening by chance. It's a perfect mirror, a precise hologram, an exact reflection of your consciousness. Everything you're experiencing right now, everything is showing you what you've been projecting, the abundance or lack in your life. That's your consciousness of prosperity reflected back, the love or loneliness. That's your assumptions about relationships made visible. The success or struggle, that's your beliefs about yourself projected onto the screen. And this isn't punishment. It's not good or bad. It's just law. The hologram reflects the projector. Reality mirrors consciousness. The screen shows you the film. Always. Automatically. Perfectly. This is actually empowering once you understand it, because it means nothing in your reality is there by accident. Everything is there because some part of your consciousness projected it. And if consciousness projected it, consciousness can change it. You're not a victim of reality. You're the creator of it. You're not at the mercy of circumstances. You're projecting them. You're not helpless. You're the projector itself. So here's what you do. Starting tonight, you stop reacting to the hologram as if it's real, solid, unchangeable. You stop giving power to circumstances as if they're the final word. You stop trying to fix the screen when you don't like what you see. Instead, you do this. You change what you're projecting. You assume your desire is fulfilled, not hope it will be, not work toward it being. Assume it already is fulfilled in consciousness, and you project from that assumption. You think from wealth, not toward wealth. You feel from love, not toward love. You imagine from success, not toward success. You're changing the film in the projector. You're shifting what consciousness is broadcasting. And as you do this, as you persist in projecting from the wish fulfilled, something inevitable happens. The hologram begins to shift. The screen begins to change. Reality begins to reorganize. Not because you forced it, not because you manipulated the external, but because you changed what was being projected. And the projection must always match the projector. This is law. This is how it works. This is how it's always worked. Let me close with this final truth. Nothing is real except consciousness. Everything else, the entire three-dimensional world, all circumstances, all events, all manifestations, these are holograms, projections, temporary arrangements of consciousness into visible form. They appear solid. They feel real. But they're not. They're images on a screen, reflections in a mirror, shadows cast by the only thing that's actually real, consciousness. And you are consciousness, not the body you inhabit, not the circumstances you're experiencing, not the role you're playing in the hologram. You are the projector itself, the source, the cause, the creator. And when you finally understand this, when you stop identifying with the projection and start identifying with the projector, everything changes. You realize you've been trying to change images that have no power, no substance, no independent existence. You've been taking a hologram seriously, treating a projection as if it were the source. But now you know better. Now you understand that the hologram is not your reality. Consciousness is your reality. And the moment you change your consciousness, the instant you shift what you're projecting, the hologram must change. Not might change, not could change, must change. Because that's the nature of projection. That's the law of the hologram. The screen always reflects the projector. Reality always mirrors consciousness. The outer always matches the inner. This is not philosophy. This is mechanics. This is how your world actually works. So tonight when you go home, look at your circumstances, look at what you're experiencing. And instead of asking, how do I change this? Ask, what am I projecting? Instead of trying to fix the screen, change the film. Instead of manipulating the hologram, shift your consciousness. Because nothing is real except consciousness. Everything else is just a hologram. And you are the projector. Thank you, and good evening. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.